We also recognize that individuals do not create rebellions, conditions do. Until they begin to address themselves to those conditions, rebellions will continue and they will escalate. Sometimes the question has been raised about why black men fight and have fought for this country. It is the black man's implacable will to be free that makes him fight for this country. And it is that same will that will make him fight this country. I want to address myself now to problems as they exist in the black community across America. And America cannot be considered as a stable and just society. But no stable and just society can mount a successful offensive against black youth who break a window and at the same time plead that it is powerless to protect black youth who are being murdered because they seek to make American democracy a reality. Each time a black church is bombed or burnt, that is violence in our streets. Each time a black body is found in the swamps of Mississippi and Alabama, that is violence in our land. Each time black right workers cannot be protected by the government, that is anarchy. Each time a police officer shoots and kills a black teenager, that is urban crime. You see, we recognize America for what it is, the Fourth Reich. And we tell America to be on notice because if you are gonna play Nazis, black folks ain't gonna play Jews. Yeah, man. We have to begin to move to control our communities. Everything that's in your community that you don't control is a weapon against you. Public education as it exists today is a weapon against black people. TV and news media, especially the WPP, white power press, white people's paper, and white people's power are enemies against black people. What the white press does is that it makes black people an enemy of black people.
But that was back in the 1960s.
You don't have a peaceful revolution. You don't have a turn the other cheek revolution. There's no such thing as a nonviolent revolution. Only kind of revolution that's nonviolent is the Negro revolution. The only revolution based on loving your enemy is the Negro revolution. The only revolution in which the goal is a desegregated lunch counter, a desegregated theater, a desegregated park, and a desegregated public toilets. You can sit down next to white folks on the toilet. That's no revolution. Revolution is based on land. Land is the basis of all independence. Land is the basis of freedom, justice, and equality. The white man knows what a revolution is. He knows that the black revolution is worldwide in scope and in nature. The black revolution is sweeping Asia, sweeping Africa. It's rearing its head in Latin America. The Cuban Revolution, that's a revolution. They overturned the system. Revolution is in Asia. Revolution is in Africa. And the white man is screaming because he sees revolution in Latin America. How do you think he'll react to you when you learn what a real revolution is? You don't know what a revolution is. If you did, you wouldn't use that word. A revolution is bloody. Revolution is hostile. Revolution knows no compromise. Revolution overturns and destroys everything that gets in its way. And you sitting around here like a knot on these folks, no matter how much they hate me. No, you need a revolution.
What is good, my people? We are live back again with another live broadcast on the forecast. What's going on, Learner Curve? Appreciate you for coming through. Um, I ain't mean to come on so late. I was listening to my sister Tanzan show. Make sure y'all definitely check out her channel. The channel that she does her shows on. Um, she has good topics. I think the family issue is one of the most important topics in our community because that's where it all starts from. So make sure y'all check it out, and it go from other conversations to there. But I did have to come on here today because I forgot. It was my bad. What up, Daniel? What up, Daniel Harris? I appreciate that, bro. First of all, I'm gonna have a premiere come on here just because I came on here, you know what I'm saying? So after this, I'm gonna have a premiere come on this channel. What up, Al? It's never been on this channel. It was on my other channel, but I know a lot of people didn't get to see it. But so I'll put it on here. So in case I get blocked, y'all make sure y'all subscribe to my other channel, which is in the description, the Forecast Radio 24. I'll put it in the chat or whatever. But make sure y'all subscribe to that one in case I get blocked for playing this video. So let me put that in the chat real quick though. But also, I forgot, I was supposed to do this a while ago, but I forgot last week, well, like 10 days ago, it was Ida B. Wells' birthday, you know what I'm saying? And y'all already know, if I had to pick somebody who I would pick to be a hero or who I would call somebody who I look up to or something like that, I would pick Ida B. Wells. I think she was one of the most gangster black people that ever lived, you know what I'm saying, and stood on hers, so I would definitely have to show her, I definitely have to show her love. So, all right, let me put this in the chat. All right, and that's to my other channel, the Forecast Radio 24. And before I do that, though, I have to show y'all the fundraiser. What we're trying to do. We're trying to raise money for Alabama. The water crisis. Like I said, I'm gonna keep trying until the end of August. You know what I'm saying, and see how much, if we can make or get close to it, even. You know what I'm saying. Then whatever. But if not, then I'm gonna just give everybody money back. And I've been stalling long enough. I'm gonna go ahead and like tomorrow, reach out to everybody who did donate. So first of all, let me show y'all this. Just so everybody know what's going on with it. So yeah, we at the water crisis. If you haven't seen it, you know what I'm saying. I'll put the link to that video in the description. You know what I'm saying, what we're trying to do. We're trying to help at least one person get a septic tank. Now, if we can help more people, if you're a plumber, it don't have to be money. If you could donate time or whatever, we got to start taking control of our communities, because nobody's going to help us, And when people take showers or rain or they flush their toilet and their feces come back in their sink, and especially because they're exploited town like this county is, and like you asked, well, Kari can tell you the story better than I can. This is where the home of the original Black Panthers, so I just wanted everybody to see where we at with that. So all right, that's what's up. I appreciate it. Cause yeah, I'm gonna have the premiere coming up right after this, so I'm not gonna be on here long. So I'm gonna go ahead and put the link in the chat. But like I said, I'm just showing a couple of Ida B. Wells videos. You know what I'm saying? Just cause her birthday was July the 16th, and a lot of people know about her and the things that she did. So and I got a shout out to my brother Guy because he mentioned, we get a lot of these days like Columbus Day and all of these other days, but we should definitely take time to recognize the people who actually stood up for us. You know what I'm saying? So I just want to let me go ahead and put this in. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show the first video. I'm gonna show the first video. All right.
Tomorrow, July 16th, is the 160th birthday of journalist and activist Ida B. Wells. And today, the Ida B. Wells Museum unveils some new bricks in honor of the leader herself. Visual storyteller Sheila Whaley visited the museum to learn more about Wells's legacy.
Her life started here, and she went on to become one of our nation's greatest leaders. She's, to me, she's executive director of the Ida B. Wells Museum and Cultural Center of African American History. This is where she had her experience as a teacher, investigative journalist. That was one of her major early challenges in her life. She was our early civil rights leader. It's three men who were friends of hers.
All right, so we're gonna get into some of that now. Not all of this. Some of this is just pictures, and we're gonna skim through it. But I'm gonna play this quick video of because you know how we do, black people. What up, bro and guy?
Birthday to happy birthday to you.
What a beautiful birthday serenade. Today is the 160th birthday of Memphis journalist and activist Ida B. Wells. A groundbreaking was held for the second phase of construction of the Ida B. Wells Memorial Plaza. The plaza is at the corner of 4th and Bill. Right now, there's only a statue of Wells, but the second phase will be more interactive and will tell her story here in Memphis.
It pulls in visitors from the other end of Bill Street to reconnect this end of Bill Street that has so many sites that are important to Black Memphis history and culture.
A lot of people are looking forward to this project. Construction will be done spring of 2023.
All right, so first and foremost, you know, I don't know if y'all saw. I shouldn't even stop sharing it. But yeah, I don't know if y'all saw, but it was something interesting right there. Now, it's important that we protect, you know what I'm saying, our heroes, the people who have done stuff. It's important for us to protect their legacies, you know what I'm saying, because there other groups tend to, you know what I'm saying, take our heroes and switch their words around, even though at their time they was like some of the most hated, kind of like they do with Martin Luther King, you know, how they try to use his words against us, even though then they did everything they could. He was one of the most hated people to them, you know. And they like to use, especially if we don't know enough, you know what I'm saying? Right. That's a fact, learning curve. But you know, if we don't take care of you know, and protect and understand who these people are and look at our history and the things that they've done to us, we do leave ourselves vulnerable. So I shouldn't have stopped sharing it. So I'm gonna keep sharing it. But I don't know if you noticed in that thing right there, what's going on here. Now I know y'all seen the flags right there, and I'm gonna show you this video because apparently, now I don't know this brother at all, you know, we beat TV, but he said he's thinking that was some LBGQ kind of stuff going on right there, you know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna play a little bit of this and let him know. I see you got Judge Joe Brown in there too, so.
And she loved black men, masculine.
Oh,
Black. You know, they got that plaza on Bill Street in honor of her. They did some groundbreaking on Saturday. I was there to cover it. I just got to play this for you and get your perspective, because Ida B. Wells, as far as I know, she was a hetero black woman, and she loved black men, masculine.
Oh, did they try to claim her?
Yeah, I'm sure. I got the footage here. I won't get your. And I respect these people. I might not be invited to anything else, but I got to show it to you because I could. It surprised me. And I got to get your take on it, Judge.
Chairman of our Shelby County Historical Commission and turn it up. Count 3. Push the shovel in, get a full shovel, and turn it over. 1, 2, and 3. Push it in and turn it over. All righty, there you go. Now, I want Cameron about 7 counties for permission to take a shovel.
So that's brother Dr. Lasimba Gray. I give a shout out to that committee for creating that monument for Ida B. Wells. They ran out the city when she was 29 years young for telling the truth and standing on black people and promoting Black Lives Really Matter. But I saw those flags. It threw me off, Judge. My mom said, those rainbow push. I said, they don't have nothing to do with Jesse Jackson Coalition people. Those are LGBTQIA flags. I'm trying to say, how are they going to make Ida B. Wells a part of their queer hero? I don't understand that, Judge.
They have no shame. It's just, see, a lot of people, if you hadn't mentioned it, wouldn't have even noticed it, but their subconscious would have. So they would have seen that Ida B. Wells, and 5 days from then, they would have been saying, why do I keep thinking of LGBTQ and Ida B. Wells? Well, and then in 10 months, it's like, where did I hear that she was into that lesbian thing? Where did I hear that? And then in 20 months, it would be she was a lesbian.
Right. And I talked to the guy that, Judge, they were surprised. The people in that footage, they were shocked too. Some of them were ministers and other. I said, we know who signed those checks for that plaza.
Well, you don't have
the final
say.
Who
said that was when, who remarked on something like that? The late Dick Gregory. Remember when he was talking about he appeared on the Breakfast Club and he got, when he saw it, like, the hell are they doing with a damn rainbow flag right over my shoulder?
Rainbow flag.
Yeah, I didn't know about it.
All right, so now the brother, they could be reaching, you know what I'm saying? Now that brother who was interviewing Judge Joe Brown, I think he was at the event or whatever. I don't know. But, that's an interesting thing. Now, I will say this. They have done that when it came to, like, the feminism thing. You know what I'm saying? Because when you hear about Ida B. Wells, you kind of hear about feminism. But she was about black people. You know what I'm saying? About black women. Yeah, definitely. But about black people, not about, like, I don't think she would have put white women over the black family. And not even that I don't think we're going to see that. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, we just gonna go into a little bit. Yeah, that's what I heard. Learning curve. What's going on? First Rifleman. I'm gonna just call you First Rifleman because you're gonna be the first rifleman up. You know what I'm saying? When we have our whatever. But so we just gonna go through this a little bit of history about like the Ida B. Wells thing, so we don't get confused and think that our heroes or we should be out there, you know what I'm saying, waving other people's flags and trying to be everybody's friend and stuff like that. And they try to use our enemies against us. So, all right, hold on. Let me share the screen. All right, so this is one of the documentaries about her. And y'all should watch it. I'm only gonna play like a minute though.
In 1862, before the close of the Civil War, my father was a son of his master who owned.
Oh yeah, that's what I wanted to say first before we get into that. Now, what is interesting is Ida B. Wells' grandfather was actually her slave owner, which was interesting because that was it was a topic on one of the topics on my brother Bitter Medicine podcast Koku channel. You know what I'm saying? Make sure y'all subscribe to this channel too, And that subject came up about American slave owners. Now her grandfather, her grandmother was, and you'll see in a second, I think it shows it here. I hope I got the one that it shows it. But her grandmother or something like that was raped by the slave owner, and they had a baby, and which was her father. I think it was her father, and her father was enslaved by his own father, you know what I'm saying, who was a mulatto man. And his father was enslaved and had a kid with her father was enslaved and had a kid with another. But Ida B. Wells' grandfather was a slave owner, but he was a mulatto slave owner because they like to throw that in there, which they leave that out, that these were the children of slave owners who bred them to do that. You know what I'm saying? But anyway. Hey, yo, hold on. Hey, Learning Curve, I'm gonna make you a moderator real quick so you can block the people when I be sharing it. Hold on, I do that later. I can't do it right now, so I'm gonna share the screen. All right, so yeah, we're gonna go back with that. But yeah, I just wanted to touch on that where her own grandfather was her slave owner. So
Was the son of his master, who owned a plantation in Tippah County, Mississippi, and one of his slave women, Peggy. My mother was born in Virginia and was one of 10 children. She and 2 sisters were sold to slave traders when young and were taken to Mississippi and sold again.
She used to tell us how she'd been beaten by slave owners and the hard times she had as a slave.
During the period after the Civil War, there was an opportunity of slaves, former slaves, to marry again in freedom under the auspices of the Freedmen's Bureau. And the Welleses got married again. And it was one of the first really social choices of freed people after the Civil War. So obviously they were people of commitment, of family commitment, of commitment to each.
And my mother went along to school with us until she learned to read the Bible. All my teachers had been the consecrated white men and white women from the North who came into the South to teach us immediately after the war. It was they who brought us the light of knowledge.
change. Now, keep in mind, she read the Bible a lot, you know.
Devastated by war, suffering in 1878.
All right, so I'm gonna stop that right there, and let me do this real quick. So yeah, when she hold on, let me make you a moderator real quick, and just only people like that learn the curve. You know, anybody else can say whatever they want. You know what I'm saying? I ain't really tripping about the trolls. You know what I'm saying? It's just you know, just stuff like that. That's it. You know. But anyway, you know, the thing about young Ida B. Wells, you know what I'm saying, she was born like right before slavery was ended and stuff like that. So when she turned 14, her parents died. What's going on, Better Medicine Podcast? Goku. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to my brother right there and the Learning Curve channel too. And my brother God channel. Make sure y'all subscribe to everybody's channel. But you know, her parents died when she was 14, you know, and instead of they wanted to break the family up, but at 14, and this was at a time where, you know, even widows, you know, especially white bitches, was in danger, but she took control and she was able to you know, take care of her own family. You know what I'm saying? She became a teacher at 14, but she learned how to read. And, you know, a lot of people in general didn't know how to read, but especially a lot of black people. So she took a job teaching, you know what I'm saying, young black children, you know. So, So then, you know, and one thing about yeah, definitely. And one thing about the young Ida B. Wells, just to show you the kind of person she was, you know what I'm saying? Like, now this is when she really started kind of doing investigative stuff. She's always been kind of like that. Now, you know, she got into the church thing, you know, like, and she would read the Bible, read it back and forth and all of that kind of stuff. And this is something about, you know, like how they used to be Christians and stuff like that, more so than we are today. But that's neither here nor there. But one of the pastors in the local area, she was in Memphis, but one of the pastors had an affair on his wife, and all of the other pastors was threatening to was trying to keep it on the low, you know what I'm saying, trying to cover it up. But Ida B. Wells started to investigate it, you know what I'm saying? And so when they found out, they got mad at her, and they told her if she ever say anything about what's going on, then she was going to if she ever say anything about what was going on, then she was going to they was going to make sure that their congregation don't support her business no more. You know what I'm saying? So you know what she did? She went to the she went and straight printed the next letter and put all of their names, all of the people who threatened her, all the people who was trying to cover up the affair and all of that stuff, and say, yo, if you are okay with these Christian pastors promoting this, you know what I'm saying, you boycott my business, then you know what I'm saying, the issue is with you. You know what I'm saying? But that's the kind of person she was. They tried to threaten her not to say anything about this affair that was going on. But you know what I'm saying? Just because they threatened her, she put it out there, you know. So as she was becoming a teacher, you know, she would have to take a train all the time. Now, Ida B. Wells was Rosa Parks before Rosa Parks. You know, we all hear about Rosa Parks, but Ida B. Wells did this in 1884, I think it was, in the 1880s. You know what I'm saying? So I'm gonna play that real quick and I'm gonna kind of explain it. But this is a quick video, so I'm gonna play it first.
Ida had moved to Memphis and she was still teaching in rural schools. So she was traveling back and forth to work on what was the newfangled thing, which was a train. One day she took her seat in what was then known as the ladies' car. It was the second car on the train.
Now this is important, like as far as like history and like courts and stuff like that, because like, yo, we gotta watch how we talk about it. Now she was in the ladies' car, you know what I'm saying? And they're telling her she cannot be in the ladies' car because she's a Negro, aka black women cannot be ladies, you know what I'm saying? Because black people aren't humans, you know. This is all a part of that, you know what I'm saying? So this is a big part of it because this goes to court.
Which was a train. One day she took her seat in what was then known as the ladies' car. It was the second car on the train. They typically only had two, and they were reserved for women. They were non-smoking, they were sometimes more comfortable, and Wells had ridden in them previously, but this particular day, she was told that she could not sit in it. She insisted that she could. She had bought a ticket for that car, and she ended up having an enormous fight with the conductor. He tried to pull her out physically. She bit him. They cast her out. She got a ride home in a wagon and immediately sued the railroad. Her suit wound through the courts for several years. In the lower courts, she won. The judge said that she was a respectable-looking person. She was, in fact, a lady, so there's no reason why she shouldn't ride in the ladies' car. But when it got to the state Supreme Court, she lost. Tennessee was in the process of implementing segregation during this time, which really took shape after the Civil War, so she couldn't win. She was
Now, you see there, she originally won the case, you know what I'm saying? They were like, yeah, oh, she's a lady, I guess. But then when the railroad company took it to the Supreme Court said, no, she cannot be a lady because she's a Negro. But, you know, the interesting thing about that is when they tried to, this is in 1884. We know the fear that we have today. Now, when they tried to make her move, instead of like doing it, she bit the dude when they put their hands on her. Like, we always talk about it, but I know a lot of us wouldn't have stood up for her because we would have been like, well, she shouldn't have tried to bite him. No, she didn't care. She went there to bite him. And this is at a time in 1884 where people is getting lynched all the time. They have way more courage than we could ever have. But I know a lot of us would have been like, yo, she should have just shut up, you know? She shouldn't have been talking. So yeah, this is just a story about it, you know. She said, I refused, saying that the forward car was a smoker and she was in the lady's car and she was going to stay. So she bit him, of course. And then, of course, they got a couple of people to try to drag her off the train, and she got arrested and all of that stuff. So she sued the Chesapeake, Ohio and Southwestern Railroad. And she won $500, but of course it was overturned or whatever. Okay, I thought that said more right there. But yeah, that's just the first thing, you know what I'm saying? So she began by not being thrown off the train. They told her to get into the ladies' car. And this is why it's important, you know what I'm saying? And this is why they can do certain things to people, you know, and this is why we got to be careful about the things that we say, as far, especially when it comes to protecting our own, and especially sisters. Because I can go through the whole history, right? Well, none of this stuff has ever been overturned, you know what I'm saying? Right? No, they say it has, but it hasn't. But either way, you know, so after that happened, you know what I'm saying, she became one of the first people to ever challenge that, you know what I'm saying, that she was one of the first to ever challenge the segregation and all of that stuff, you know. So then she went on, you know, down in Memphis. I don't know if you heard the story of Thomas Moss and how this brother got lynched, you know what I'm saying, and how he owned a grocery store. But a lot of the white papers, you know, presented him like a threat. Like the white dude who owned the grocery store in the black neighborhood saw him as competition. And, you know, they ended up murdering one of her good friends, you know, and, you know, it pissed Ida B. Wells off. And she began to expose the whole thing, you know. And she was the first person to ever break down the lynch law. A lot of people still don't understand the lynch law, but she was the first person to break it down. So I'm gonna play this video.
About 20,000 Black-owned businesses.
Booker T. Washington starts the National Negro Business League, which becomes this incredible network of entrepreneurs across the country who meet for conventions, support one another, and show each other that they can make it in this capitalist society.
By 1900, there were about 20,000 Black-owned businesses in the United States. They were anchors of Black communities in the North and the South, including Memphis, Tennessee.
Blacks were truly on their way to becoming first-class citizens and living a good life in Memphis. Thomas Moss is emblematic of that. He owned a store called the People's Grocery. It was a co-op, co-owned by at least 10 African-American citizens in Memphis. And this was part of the entrepreneurial spirit that was going on in the city.
The People's Grocery was considered a threat to the white community because there was already a grocery store in the area that was owned by a white person.
That owner was William Barrett. In March of 1892, Having grown fearful and jealous of the People's Grocery's success, Barrett instigated a mob attack on his competition.
Men came in the middle of the night. There was gunfire. And as a result, there's lots of arrests, including men at the People's Grocery.
Tommy Moss was dragged out of the jail and taken about a mile north. He was tortured and shot.
The killer's true motivation was exposed in a stinging column by local journalist and publisher Ida B. Wells, who was a close friend of Thomas Moss.
This is what opened my eyes to what lynching really was, an excuse to get rid of Negroes who were acquiring wealth and property, and thus keep the race terrorized.
A rash of lynchings was sweeping the country, 161 in 1892 alone. After the murder of Thomas Moss, Ida B. Wells dedicated herself to exposing the truth.
The rationale was always written up in the press, in the white press, as that blacks were now suddenly, and out of seemingly nowhere, beginning to rape white women, because this was the only rationale that people could accept.
Wells launched a national investigation and found that lynching was typically motivated by white resentment of black economic competition. When she published her findings, Wells' life came under threat.
A mob comes and destroys her newspaper office entirely. People are waiting for her to come back to lynch her. And so she decides not to come back to Memphis. In fact, won't be back for decades.
In 1893, a year after she fled Memphis, Ida B. Wells delivered a blistering speech at the Chicago World's Fair. Before a packed house, she condemned racism in the mainstream press.
The men who encourage or lead the mobs which do the lynchings belong to the race which own the telegraph wires, newspapers, and all the other communication with the outside world. They write the reports which justify lynching, and those reports are accepted by the world without question or investigation.
Right. So, she was the first one really breaking down the lynch law, and she exposed it, and these are some of the books by her. You see the Red Record, and this is where she went through and really broke down how and why people got lynched. She broke down their names and the reasons why they got lynched. Some people for, not acknowledging a white person, some people for not, for whatever reason you can think of, and she documented all of that in this book, The Red Record, you know what I'm saying? And Southern Horrors, The Lynch Law, and all of its phases, an audio book. Y'all should listen to these two books, you know what I'm saying? And she also did a book about mob rule in New Orleans, and this was about a brother named Robert Charles, and he ended up shooting like 27 white people. He was getting harassed the same way we are today, and he was like, no, I'm not just going to go down. He was armed. He shot at the cops. He killed like 12 cops before they finally got to him, but she talked about it and investigated all of these stories. Now, after her friend got lynched, they of course blamed him, said he was, he raped a white girl, even though he was married, and everybody know he had nothing to do with that. But that pissed her off, and she decided to speak up about it. You know what I'm saying? She didn't go anywhere. And, they got mad at what she said, so they burned her offices, and, they they went at her, you know what I'm saying? And see, there was a black militia or whatever. See, this is the part people don't tell you, right? Now, they said black men organized to say that, yo, you can come back if you want to, Ida B. Wells. You know what I'm saying? They organized, but they told her, you like, look, we're going to do everything we can to protect you, even if it make us widows. But she was like, no, I can't do that. So she left, you know what I'm saying? She ended up leaving. And eventually she ended up in you know what I'm saying, in Chicago. So and we keep going in. But yeah, y'all check out those books, you know, the Red Record, you know what I'm saying? You can listen to it right here on YouTube. The Southern Horrors, the Lynch Law, and all of its phases. And Mob Rule in New Orleans, you know, and there's a lot of writings and books that she did that people can check out. But you know, of course, they went on to she went on to do a lot of different things. In 1896, she helped found the National Association for Colored Women, which became the largest federation of local black women's clubs. A bunch of black women and all their clubs joined up, you know what I'm saying? And they did a lot of things for people, you know what I'm saying? All the things that we talk about doing, they did in 1896, help people doing when they was doing the migration from the south to the north, help teach women how to, you know, take care of the home, all of the things that we said, you know what I'm saying? They did everything that helped them find houses, you know, all of that. And the interesting thing, you know, it was a lot of black women in that Mary Church Terrell. And one interesting thing was Harriet Tubman and Ida B. Wells was both in that group, and I think they was friends, you know what I'm saying? So and it says here Harriet Tubman held Ida B. Wells' infant son in 1896, you know what I'm saying? So I thought that was interesting. It says Harriet Tubman attended in 1896, she attended the inaugural meeting of the National Association of Colored Women in Washington, D.C., and inspired the founders of what was to become the nation's most important black women's organization. The audience, when she stood up, the audience rose as one person and greeted her with the waving of handkerchiefs and the clapping of hands. And you know, she was holding Ida B. Wells' son while she spoke. So, you know what I'm saying? I just thought that was real interesting. You know what I mean? So go on to the next thing. So yeah, this is the they was talking about doing this in while she was going around fighting for the lynch law. You know what I'm saying? She kind of had issues with other, you know what I'm saying, black people. And a lot of, and you know, she herself, you know what I'm saying, like, because they were like, yo, she was unladylike, you know what I'm saying, women shouldn't do this, she's trying to be like a man, you know what I'm saying, they hit her with the old fashioned, oh, you masculine, you know what I'm saying, argument back in the day, you know what I'm saying, from her own people. And so it says the new face chosen to lead Black America was Booker T. Washington. He believed African Americans should try to improve their lives through hard work. But his views were strongly opposed by Ida B. Wells and W.E. Du Bois, you know, and she constantly called him out, you know what I mean? So yeah, this is getting into what I'm trying to see. Yeah, it was a part here where she said something, but I'm not gonna go through all of this. I'm gonna just keep going. All right, so you know, these is some of the other things that she did. So speaking of fellowship, you know what I'm saying, and building alliances. Now I will say this, you know, because in her autobiography, she said one weakness that I think I always had this militant attitude, like I was always angry, and maybe I could have treated other people better, you know what I'm saying? And I completely understand where she's coming from, you know, but she did have fellowship, you know what I'm saying? So the Negro Fellowship League first emerged following the Springfield race riots of 1908. And y'all should definitely look up this that one, you know. But Wells wrote that the murders under the shadow of Abraham Lincoln's tomb led to a passionate discussion, you know what I'm saying? She said that was the beginning of what was afterwards to be known as the Negro Fellowship League. Here we discuss matters affecting the race and inviting prominent persons who might be in the city to address us. So let's see, I think it was another part. All right, so and here it is, yeah, with the help of her husband. Now her husband, Ferdinand Barnett, he was a lawyer and he took a lot of cases pro bono, you know what I'm saying? So not only was she doing it, her husband, who was a lawyer, was going out here taking a lot of these high profile cases, like what happened to these brothers who got accused of rape, you know what I'm saying? And it was her who stood up for these kind of people, you know what I'm saying? And you know, it was just interesting that she says that's her weakness, but she also works on that, you know. All right. So now it comes to this, like, because they like to and this is what we was talking about, the LBGTQ thing, you know what I'm saying? They like to classify Ida B. Wells as a feminist, you know, as if she was about, you know, all women. No, she was about, as we see, she exposed what white women was doing. She exposed a lot of that stuff was consensual relationships. And at the same time, how so many black women were being raped and everybody was turning a blind eye to it. You know, that's how she exposed the lynch law. But this white bitch right here is doing talking about white feminists, and this was one of the white feminists who she had beef with, was several, and she constantly called them out for people who saying she was a feminist. No, she constantly called them out. So I'm gonna show you a little bit of what they were saying. I'm only gonna play a few minutes from this.
By 1895, Wells's anti-lynching campaign was well underway, but she was frustrated by the reluctance of influential white reformers like Willard to support her work. Willard had made racist statements in a newspaper interview given in 1890, and Wells had seen and remembered the interview. While on a speaking tour of England in 1894, Wells republished the interview, publicly calling into question Willard's leadership. In the interview, Willard had invoked what Wells described as, quote, the old threadbare lie that Negro men rape white women, unquote, and had used statements such as, quote, the colored race multiplies like the locusts of Egypt, and the grog shop is at its center, or the liquor shop is at the center of its power, end quote. Wells charged that Willard's position as an internationally known Christian reformer and the leader of an organization with many Black women members carried a special duty to speak out against the violence of lynching, rather than perpetuate the stereotype that drunken Black men threaten the safety of women, of childhood, and of the home. During the early 1890s, Willard was making a conscious push to grow the membership of the WCTU among white women in the South. While alcohol was a serious problem in the Black community, leading to strong support of temperance by Black women, alcohol and drunkenness were also used by whites to stereotype and to discriminate against Blacks and other minority groups. White leaders in the women's temperance and suffrage movements made questionable moral compromises by using these racist stereotypes to encourage growth for their causes among Southern white women. Wells confronted Willard directly, calling on her and the WCTU to explicitly denounce lynching. At first, Willard tried to defend herself, insisting that she had, quote, not an atom of race prejudice, end quote, citing her family's involvement with the abolition movement, especially her time in Oberlin, and her work supporting Black women in the WCTU. In the face of mounting pressure, Willard eventually took measures to address the issue, including speaking out publicly against lynching. And the WCTU passed anti-lynching resolutions in 1894, 1895, and several years following. The conflict attracted international attention and even condemnation of the WCTU and of Willard. And it played out in social media of the day, newspapers, publicly circulated letters, and speeches at meetings and conventions.
She's making excuses for her, because she's, doing a report on her heroes. But yeah, that's a fact. Learning curve, there was much worse, rape on a scale where it could possibly change your DNA. That's a whole lot of rape, But they like to blame it on the big bad black man until Ida B. Wells came along and started talking about the lynch law, how it was used as economic warfare. In some cases, they lynched the dude and then came back later and said, oh, well, he probably raped the white woman, or a lot of the cases where the white bitch was like, no, he didn't. And they still did it anyway. Or they raped like they lynched 4 or 5 black men because one of them possibly could have done something. And then she came along speaking about it. And when she started to gain momentum, now these white feminists wanted to use, especially prominent black women and black women like Ida B. Wells for their own goal. But when Ida B. Wells said, no, I'm not going to sit here and condone this when you're talking about black men. I'm for all black people. And Susan B. Anthony and all of them, they like to portray them as they stood up for black rights. But no, they wasn't. They was for white women. And Ida B. Wells recognized that and called them out about it. So, of course, it was racism. I keep starting over. All right, so throughout much of the 1800s, the women's alcohol temperance movement was a powerful force. And leaders like Susan B. Anthony, Elizabeth Cady Stanton had also, quote unquote, championed black equality. Yet in 1870, the suffragists found themselves on opposing ends of the equal rights battle when Congress passed the 15th Amendment, when black men got the right to vote. See, that don't make sense. They championed black equality, but, when black men got the right to vote, they had a problem with it. So Willard giving women was the right to vote was the only way. Okay, fine. Now, she said she was willing to court Southern white women at the expense of blacks, even though her parents were, quote unquote, abolitionists. They were her parents was probably, what's his name? Y'all favorite abolitionist? But she said better whiskey and more of it is the rallying cry of great dark-faced mobs, talking about the safety of white women, of childhood, of the home is a menace in thousands of localities because black men was going to rape them. Of course, that's what she was saying. But that statement pissed Ida B. Wells off. She was angered even more by the fact that Willard was considered to be, quote unquote, a friend within the black community. And this is the thing. I don't understand how y'all still have all of these friends to this day. All of this stuff is repeating if y'all haven't noticed. But she was mad because she was a quote unquote friend, the Jane Elliott of that day. And it said because some of their chapters had accepted black women as members. And it doesn't say here, but they were segregated. All right, so but the president of that organization unhastily slandered the entire Negro race in order to gain favor with those who are hanging, shooting, and burning Negroes alive, Wells said in her autobiography. All right, so I'm trying to get to what they were saying about each other. So when she was asked about that girl, she said, "Our country remains silent on those continued outrages. It is to the religious and moral sentiment of Great Britain return." So, I do disagree with going to, what I'm saying, Britain. I would say that, But when asked her opinion of Willard, Wells chose to read the interview with Willard at her side and little time to actually speak. Wells asked the audience how influential white women could continue. Wells asked the audience how influential white women could continue to turn a blind eye to the white mobs who threatened Black lives. So she said this in her face, you know what I'm saying? And she got mad at her and she demanded that the fraternity not print an article on her and that she never be heard of again, but they did it anyway. And so the white girl sent a telegram to Black abolitionist Frederick Douglass, and she demanded that he publicly remand Ida B. Wells. Now, see, this is what I'm saying, man. And I think they could get a lot of Black men that would do that to this day. Yo, that's a fact. That's a fact, Raw. And that's a fact, learning curve. Yeah, modern day John, that was the John Brown of that time. But Douglas didn't give into the white bitch's demands. But Wells later said in a letter to Douglas that he did little to fully support and oversee her campaign. Now it go on to like they kept dissing each other in magazines and newspapers and stuff like that. But she had a problem with a lot of them. You know what I'm saying? But that was interesting that the white girl went to Frederick Douglass and told him to publicly remand Ida B. Wells, which wouldn't have did no good. She would have cussed him out. But Ida B. Wells said, Frederick Douglass should have did more to support her when it came to that, All right, so this is pretty much the same thing. She said, "I desire no quarrel with them, but my love for the truth is greater than my regard for an allied friend who, though ignorance or design, misrepresents in the most harmful way the cause of a long-suffering race." So she said the truth is greater than her alleged friendship. And even though she may be ignorant or she's doing it on purpose, I ain't giving them no pass because I'm standing up for my people. Because it wasn't about that. It was about standing up for us all. You know what I'm saying? She said, "When I saw that we were likely to have a restricted suffrage and the white women of the organization were working like beavers to bring it about, she made another effort. But they did the same thing again. And that's when, she went down there and to march with them for the for the suffrage thing. And they told the Black women that they had to march in the back. You know what I'm saying? And Ida B. Wells was like, yo, I will not march in the back of y'all. So even then, you know what I'm saying? That's when they told them that they had to get behind the white women. You know what I'm saying? But they wanted their support, So, there's more stuff about Frederick Douglass on here. So, let me see. All right. So, of course, y'all already know about her and the NAACP. So, why was she skeptical? Because people don't know she in W.E. Du Bois's magazine, The Crisis, she was a big part of getting that magazine off the ground, because initially they was going to use already a publication that's already out there to print their messages. But, you know, she was like, no, let's create a new thing, you know. And she helped found the NAACP. But she was one of the first people to ever criticize the NAACP and call them for what they were. So she cut ties with the organization because, and that is a long article, we're not going through that whole thing, because she felt it was in its infancy and it lacked action-based initiatives. Now, and see, they tried to put her a women's suffrage, but it was for Black women. Now, see, what they aren't telling you is she had a problem with the organization being a Black organization with a white leader or a Jew. They, you know, they're a white Jew, but she had a problem with that, and she called it out. And Black people actually went at her for calling out the NAACP at the time. But she understood that the organization wasn't necessarily, and this was way before Brown versus Board of Education and Thurgood Marshall and all of them. She understood that they had ulterior motives, and it was suspect to not have Black leadership in a Black organization, and she distanced herself. But all right, so we go on to the next thing. So she did help women get the right to vote, you know, but unfortunately, you know, Black women and Black men, our right to vote, even though it was technically on the books, was not protected until, quote unquote, the Voters' Rights Act, that still has to be renewed every 25 years, by the way. And the last president to do that was George Bush, so I guess it's coming up soon. But anyway, this is how Ida B. Wells got women voting. Now, they was doing the same thing, like, oh, they being too masculine. This is a man's job, you know what I'm saying? But even though they got harassed, they got results. So Oscar DePriest was elected in the 2nd Ward as Chicago's first Black councilman. And this is where I think since Reconstruction or whatever, he was able to defeat 3 white opponents because Black women, and it wasn't for, quote unquote, it was for Black people, for Black upliftment, so they could get a Black person in office with their goals in mind, not just to put a Black person in office just to do it, but with a goal in mind. So she went around, they got like 7-some thousand Black women to register to vote, and they got a Black man in office. Now, if we had a political agenda and a person that who we put up there, that would be a whole nother thing. See, but you know. All right, so that accounted for 1/3 of his electoral votes for his victory, you know. All right, so of course, coming to this part of her life, Ida B. Wells was one of the biggest targets by the FBI. Not only were they after people like Marcus Garvey, and she worked with Marcus Garvey. She spoke on the same stage as Marcus Garvey. She supported him and supported any black person who tried to go out there and make a change. But they recognized the power that she had in her writing and how she could influence a lot of people. Like, she influenced a lot of people to leave Memphis after the Thomas Moss lynching. And she influenced a lot of people to do a lot of things. She got a cop who a cop did something, where he killed somebody, and he happened to be one of the few cops to ever get suspended, and she made sure that he didn't get reinstated. And she was a threat to them. So the FBI was definitely after her. So in the late 1910s, the Federal Bureau of Investigations updated its file tracking a woman who had been born into slavery. So her. The second report, registered the year after her FBI file was first created, came with a decisive declaration about Ida B. Wells. They said, "We have on file quite a few reports from different cities where she has addressed meetings of colored people and endeavors to impress upon them that they are downtrodden race and that now is time for them to demand and secure their proper position in the world. She is a very effective speaker, and her influence among the colored race is well recognized." They said, "I believe she is considered by all of the intelligence officers as one of the most dangerous Negro agitators, and it would seem that her case should be considered very carefully before she is given a passport." So she got denied, and this was during World War I, in the 1914s, or 1910s. So she called for a racial equality clause, but President Woodrow Wilson and the FBI disagreed with her. And so that's just a little bit. I'm not gonna go through this whole article either. Now, when it comes to voting, and I'm not sure if this one's gonna come up. All right, so when it comes to voting, Ida B. Wells, at the end of her life, she was one of the first black women to run for a political office, even though she did not win. Now, this is coming from someone who did a biography of her life and who talked to her family. Now, shortly after she ran for office, they said she passed away of kidney disease. Now, many people believe that, she was poisoned because she was on a political campaign trail. She was doing speeches and all of that. And it's similar to like what they say about Booker T. Washington. She was out there doing what she had to do, and then all of a sudden she got sick, and then within three weeks she was gone. And they said she died of kidney disease, but her family says she was healthy until she was sick, and then when she got sick quick, and then passed away. And a lot of people speculate that she was poisoned, which I wouldn't doubt. The FBI was definitely tracking her, watching everything she was doing. And they was after her for, 60 years. Since the 1880s, they've been sending her death threats. She was considered one of the most dangerous people, Negro agitators, because of the amount of people that she could reach, the respect that she had, and people know that she didn't play, and they better not try her. You know what I'm saying? Now, I'm gonna put the link in the chat one more time if anybody want to get off, come on here, because I'm about to get off of here. But if you have anything to say about, if you got anything to say or anything to add, or if you want to say anything or add whatever it is. I'm not strict on it. So, if you want to come and troll, you got to come on here and troll, you know what I'm saying? Show you got the courage to be a troll for real. But it's just interesting the dynamics and the parallels, the things that they went through and the things that we do. Is like Ross said, generation, time and time again, every generation, it's the same thing happening over and over. The same things that she said in the 1800s is literally the same things happening right now. The same complaints that Black women have, she have right now, or we have right now. And the thing that we have to realize, and even though Ida B. Wells, of course, I would pick her as my hero, you know what I'm saying? But it's even things I don't agree with her about, you know what I'm saying? And she realized that the white feminist wasn't her friends, but she tried. But we learn from what happens before us, you know what I'm saying? What's right and wrong, the things that we shouldn't do. I don't agree with everything that she said, but she put in so much work. By the time she was 20, she did more than any of us have done. And we got to start recognizing the people who we look up to, like who you think your idol is, on their birthday, or just because, you need to go out there and talk about it, educate us on history, on things people have done that we may not know about. Because before, it was a while ago. I was telling Bakari we should do a show, Ida B. Wells versus Marcus Garvey, and not a versus like who's better, but as an educational thing, in these three areas, Marcus Garvey, like because we need to be educated on what these people have done, because a lot of people don't know. And when you don't know, somebody can easily take your identity, like the LBGQ can say, oh, well, she was power to all the people. No, Ida B. Wells said a Winchester rifle should have a special place in every Black home. Ida B. Wells talked about the importance of the Black family. Her husband, right, exactly, a versus, you know what I'm saying? Anybody, you can take a versus anybody. And this is not a competing thing, it's to learn about the people who came before us, especially for the kids, you know what I'm saying? I think that would have been a good show, but I think Bakari was scared, you know what I'm saying? But nah, there's a lot of things that these people did that we don't know about, and when we don't know about our history, we keep repeating our history, you know what I'm saying? But from that we can learn that we have no friends at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying? So I guess the last thing I'll show y'all before I get out of here, just to buy some time. I'm not even gonna play it though. What up, Mr. Untouchable? Oh, I was just it was Ida B. Wells' birthday on the 16th. So, I meant to do the show then, but I'm doing it now. But, like I was saying, anybody, like, we need to start doing these kind of shows. I think it'll be a good show. Like, you could pick any two people though, but I would pick Ida B. Wells versus whoever, and we could talk about things they accomplished so that we learn about our history in an interesting way. You know what I'm saying? We got to start meeting the people where they at. Because one thing that Ida B. Wells said is, I try to teach the people as simple as I can. When I write, I try to be simple so that people understand. The point of communication is so that people get your point. No, not to try to sound like you're smarter or better than anybody else, but to relay a message. And the message is, we will not take this no more. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, and she preached about the Black family and the importance of that. But more importantly, she said, hey, if I got to go out, taking one of them is good enough for me. Well, not good enough, but at least I can, that's a start. She talked about Black gun rights in the 1890s, in the 1900s. When we scared to talk about that kind of stuff today. But she also, and this is where she probably disagree with me too. You know what I'm saying? A lot of y'all agree, and I'm not gonna play it because it's really talking about Booker T. Washington versus W.E. Du Bois, and y'all remember that debate they had. And if y'all want to have an opinion about that, you know what I'm saying? Like I said, I think that versus thing when it comes to our history is a good thing. You know what I'm saying? And it's not to say, oh, this person is better than this person, but it's to say that, you know, this is the history. These are the things that they have done. But see, today I see a lot of people would be like, I wouldn't call Booker T. Washington a coon. See, this goes back to that coon debate and that whole slippery slope. Because Ida B. Wells, I would have listened to her back then. And I would have heard Booker T. Washington's speech, and he was like, you know, don't retaliate and just let them lynch you and don't fight back. I would have looked at that like, yeah, that's cooning, all right, you know what I'm saying? Or whatever the term was back in the time. It was not coon at that time. But Ida B. Wells vehement, she called Booker T. Washington out, pretty much called him a coon, you know what I'm saying? Went against him. We know the debate that him and W.E. Du Bois had, and the dispute that him and Marcus Garvey had. But they all had disputes with each other, you know what I'm saying? But see, the difference is Ida B. Wells, the first thing, and she repeatedly called out everybody, you know what I'm saying? She didn't hesitate when she called out those Black preachers. But she went actively to make a change and went after the other people too, you know what I'm saying? And that's a huge difference. And I don't know what she was side. I think she'll agree with me, you know what I'm saying, personally. That the enemy is the biggest threat. But you know, that's just my opinion. Yeah, man. But yeah, man, they see, our ancestors have done a lot with a lot less than we have today, you know what I'm saying? So the least that we can do is the things that we can. Right? They were able to create hospitals. They didn't have anything. They had their land, they had their businesses, and they supported each other because they realized they had no other choice. Today we have no other choice. We just don't realize it. And in a time where it was much crazier for them, she had the courage. When they put hands on her, she bit them back. And I saw America's First Rifleman in here. I know what he would have said. Well, she shouldn't have been him. She shouldn't have been talking. She shouldn't have been riding in the ladies' car, because y'all be quick to bow down and let them call our women not ladies. When this woman was one of the most gangster people in America, and especially in America, what in our history. Her and Harriet Tubman. But we'll get on them because they talk a lot. But yeah, man, I appreciate y'all for you know what I'm saying, tuning in. I gotta say shout out to Ida B. Wells, you know, and it's time for us to start doing the things that we can do to make a difference. You know what I'm saying? Of course, I'm trying to keep going with this fundraiser thing to help the people in Alabama, because we got to take that kind of stuff in our own hands, because like at that time we still have no choice. It's just that we can go into one of their stores and get a slice of pie today when they couldn't. And I guess that's all we needed. But I still say, and maybe not a Winchester rifle, but just because it's Ida B. Wells said it, a Winchester rifle should still have a special place in every black home. And you know, at the end of the day, we are all we got. But shout out to you, Mr. Untouchable Bitter Medicine Podcast. Raw, you already know, all day, every day. Learning Curve, I appreciate you, my brother Guy. And y'all subscribe to all their channels. Al Harris, Daniel. I appreciate all of y'all for turning in. America's First Rifleman, you know. Yo, Truth 884, what's good, my brother? But you know, at the end of the day, you know, yo, what's up, Tanzan? I was about to get up out of here, but yeah, man, at the end of the day, man, I'm tired of repeating the same cycles and having the same arguments. All the arguments that we had now, that we're having right now, they had then. They had the Africa versus America argument. They had the what should we call ourselves, the light skin versus dark, the men versus the women, the feminism, the not feminism. You know, they had all of these arguments. When are we going to be fed up with the same things over and over? At least they had the heart to go build whatever they wanted to build. You know what I'm saying? That's something that we got to get up to. It's almost like we lost, you know what I'm saying? That part of it. But, oh, no, it's all good, my brother, Truth 884. I appreciate y'all for coming through. But make sure y'all subscribe to all of their channels, you know what I'm saying? And make sure, let me show y'all this before I go the water crisis thing. Because like I said, I got to push that hard so we can get there. You know what I mean? So far, this is where we are. Shout out to you, Raw. Shout out Truth 884. Everybody else that put into it. You know what I'm saying? Much love to all of y'all. I think Learning Curve. I don't know, but I'm gonna email all of y'all soon. So I just want to keep y'all up on what's going on. But as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're going to keep falling for anything. Drop the, all right, hold on, my bad. Okay, yeah. I'm going to drop it. And by the way, y'all, it's in the description. All right, so all right, we're gonna start. If we don't start standing for something, we will keep falling for anything. All right, peace, y'all.